need to drop for my desired velocity, and I like 1,300 feet per second because that's about the limit to where it'll cycle it on. Did a nice job there. Then cut up primer. And in here we'll see, I've got a bunch of loads we're going to be pattern testing, but these are the 4 that I've loaded so far. You'll see. Looks pretty good. Okay, shotgun, coming right back here with you. Saturday, teal season opens up. Now it's been hot as the middle of July, so I don't expect to see any birds, if any, but if I can have my way about it, I'll be sitting out there with a shotgun. So thought I'd put together 2 of my favorite all-time steel loads for teal, for big ducks. You can just, the only thing you have to change is the shot size in this to the bird that you're wanting to shoot. Comes right out of this lightning steel manual. If you're wanting simple loads to put together, there's no fillers, there's no nothing. It's just hull, primer, powder, wad, shot, crimp it. And this is about as simple as they come. If you have the need for speed, then you can get up to 1,764 feet per second on a 2 3/4 inch 7/8 ounce load from a Shadot hull. Well, I don't have a need for speed because whenever speed is that fast, somebody's got to be on the receiving end of the takeoff or the kick, the recoil, however you want to put it. So the load we're going to put together, if you have this book, I'm going to put together number 25. It is in the Remington shell. If you remember my whole video, these holes are my favorite for reloading steel. This was a steel shot originally. These metallic green shells was tactical buckshot. The wads we're using today are the, if you order from Ballistic Products, it's the CSD 100. If you get it from Precision Reloading, which is where I got mine from Precision because they're pre-slit, makes it a little easier, is the TUW SBL 28. I don't think they have any of these in stock. I don't even think that Ballistic Products has any of the CSD 100s. It's just a B&P wad. But so here's what they look like unfired, and I'm saying unfired for a reason. They're not the thickest wad pedal wise. I'm saying unfired for a reason, and I shot this in some patterns the other day. It has holes in it. The pedals have holes in it. Well, that's not good. You don't want that to contact your barrel. If you're shooting a junk gun, I'm sure you wouldn't care, but if you're shooting a fine gun like a Browning Auto 5, you don't want to let that contact the barrel. So you got to prevent that. So we'll be using Mylar wrap for that. So let's start with the both these are going to be the same load. I use the same load for this. I just changed the shot size. My color code is black's number 4, green's number 3. If I see that shell, I know that this shell is automatically number 3 steel. It doesn't matter what box it's in. If it's loose, I know that. Same thing goes for this. I know it's number 4 steel. It's a good idea. Wish you could find some of these. Federal 209A primers. I've also had these for a pretty good while. I looked at the price of primers. Yikes. I don't use the Mech 9000 that often for the simple reason that it doesn't yield itself to loading steel that well if you're using steel powder. And this is what we're using in this load. So the black shell, number 4s, we're going to put this new primer in. Federal 209A primer. Let's make sure. Yeah, we're good. So that's sitting good. Now our load calls for 33.5 grains of Alliant steel. It's very bulky powder if you've ever used it. 33.5 is what we're after. There it is, boom. Put our funnel in there, drop our powder, and I'll just set that aside. I'm going to use it again. CSD 100, TUW SBL 28, however you want to refer to it. One thing I have found out, they do feed pretty smooth through the mech wad guide, which you don't always get steel shot wads to fit through the wad guides that easy. Now, because that wad had holes in it, I got Mylar wrap rolled up. It's just, I think I've showed you the wrap before. Rolled up, tucked in there, tucks in there pretty good. We want 1 ounce. $9,940. 1 pellet. 2 pellets. That's going to do it. I just cut my hand right here. Take this. Just kind of pour it in. Just use my hand, kind of funnel it. A layer of pellets may appear to be above the top of the wad. They will go back during setback. The rule of thumb for all the time I've loaded is 1 row of pellets can be above the wad. During combustion and setback, it will go into the wad, so it should all be there. But if you're worried about that, we have a solution. These overshot cards, I make my own out of cereal boxes and Kleenex boxes and various other things. Put that in there. It looks like it'll be pretty good. Let's see what we got here. Well, we're right there. It's got a deep crown, radiused a little bit. So this is a number 4 load. A advertised velocity of 1544. I've used this load a lot. We've got our green shell here that's going to get some number 3 steel put in it. And we need a Federal 209A primer. Get that installed. Looks good. Alliant steel powder. This stuff's about as scarce as hen's teeth right now. There we are. 33.5. We do have our powder. Let's go ahead and seat that wad. Insert our Mylar wrap. Sometimes you do need to trim. So I'm just going to trim just a shade off of this. Alright, Mylar's in. Alright, there we go. And just like cut my hand, pour my shot in. Overshot card. Got that. Let's try something here. Let's see what kind of a crimp this will put out if I can manually advance this here. Pre-crimp looks good. Crimp looks good. Is that not beautiful? I mean, you wouldn't expect to see that when you open up a brand new box of shells. But I expect to see that whenever I open up a box of my shells. And just so that you know it don't always turn out good, that shell was the second take. Here was the first take. So you say, what was the problem right there? I didn't have the wad deep enough. And this book will tell you that wad pressure is important because steel is such a bulky powder. Anyways, I didn't have it deep enough, and whenever I tried to crimp it, I got a little bit of a buckle. So that'll be a disassembly and salvage all the components. But that's it. We got a number 4 steel. We got a number 3 steel. These are ready to rock and roll on ducks. Number 3 is my favorite steel shot of all time. Number 2 should be a close second. but I think 3s are big enough to get the job done, and you get more pellets than you do with an ounce of number 2. So 1,544 feet per second, 1 ounce of number 4s, and 1,544 feet per second, 1 ounce of number 3s. Like to try that load, you can get this manual right here. You can have that data right there at your fingertips from Precision Reloading. I had some subscribers ask me about 20 gauge steel shot loads, and I don't have any 20 gauge steel shot loads right now because I don't load steel for a 20 gauge. I'm working on trying to get something together because I think I've got stuff together to put together a bismuth load, so maybe that would help. May revisit our hulls and our primers in a future video and show you in maybe a little bit clearer definition what I'm talking about whenever I measure primer sizes, primer pockets, and see how they are different from European to American. But anyways, for now, we're waiting on Saturday. Teal season's coming. All right. Till then, y'all take care. Stay safe. If you like what's going on, like the channel, subscribe, share it, show it to your friends. We'd love to be able to get out there for folks, and we'll do our best to help you out as long as we can. Keep it going. Talk to y'all later.